Hello friends, today I am going to explain you on how to deploy a web application on Kubernetes inside Minicubes. The tutorial is on the deployment of web application on Minicubes. I will be running a Spring Boot application with a MongoDB. Before that, let me explain little bit about Minicubes. Minikube is a tool that makes it easy to run Kubernetes locally. Minikube runs a single-node Kubernetes cluster inside a virtual machine (VM) on your laptop for users looking to try out Kubernetes. This is the best tool for a web developer to test their web application on Kubernetes. Main features Minikube provide are DNS, node ports, config maps and secrets, dashboards, container runtime, CRI-O, container network interface, and ingress. So, as mentioned earlier, let's deploy a Spring Boot REST application with MongoDB and NginX. We are going to deploy the application in Kubernetes using YAML files. Today we have 3 YAML files, one for MongoDB, second one for Spring Boot, and the final one is for NginX. Let's get started by creating the MongoDB. Showing is the YAML file to create the MongoDB instance in Kubernetes. The YAML file starts with version. These file formats are specific to each version. Next we are creating object of kind, deployment. You can see the detailed description of these on kubernetes.io. Skipping few of the fields, assuming that you are aware of most of these. In this example I will be saving the data to host system, that is the Minikube Linux box running on the virtualbox. In real life we will be saving to some cloud or the server where we are running the Kubernetes. Next is the service. Here we are not exposing the IP to external world. We will be creating only a cluster IP that will be accessible only inside the Kubernetes environment. The name of the service is important as we will be calling the DB from Spring Boot by that. In other words, the host name to call the DB. Next we will start the Minicubes. Before starting the MongoDB, we will check whether any pod or service is already present. Let's deploy the mongo.yaml file to Kubernetes. Run the kubectl get all to see the status. As the Mongo image is not in my system, it will take some time to download. You can use the kubectl describe pod name, can see more details on the pod. Use the kubectl logs command to see the application log. You can see that the Mongo is up and waiting at 27017 port. Now we will deploy the Spring Boot application. Showing is the YAML file for the same. For Spring Boot we have created the Docker image already and placed it in the Docker Hub. Source code is in GitHub. I will be providing the links in the description. We will not be exposing the Spring Boot to outside world. So we will be creating the service as cluster IP and port 8080. The name of the service is important as we will be calling the Spring Boot from NginX by this name. Let's create the Spring Boot application. We can see the Spring Boot logs by executing kubectl logs. You can see that the application is connected to the MongoDB. Next one is NginX. The conf file we will create using config map. This will be using in pod. In the conf you can see that if any URL came as API, it will redirect to Spring Boot. Spring Boot service name will be using here. NginX will be exposed to outside world, so we will use load balancer. Get the Minicubes IP to test the application. Now we have tested the application from outside the world. The request is first coming to the NginX and to the Spring Boot, and the data will save to DB. We will log into the MongoDB server and check the data. You can increase the replicas in the YAML file to scale the application. That is the end of this session. Hope you will be able to deploy a Spring Boot MongoDB application. So please subscribe and click bell icon to get updates when new content is added.